Hello viewer, many thanks to you for joining us on Aneke Television today. Thank you for being our beautiful and wonderful companion on the show. My name is Chris and welcome you on board. Yes, of course, a lot has been happening within the political space in the country, Nigeria. And Rivers State seems to be at the forefront of the whole matter. Yes, of course, political pressures, political issues, crisis rocking the state, Rivers State. I don't know how much you are aware of the turn of events going on now in Rivers State. Well, these are more what we'll be looking at on the show today. Yes, of course, and we have joining us a legal luminary, as well as a political scientist and a public affairs analyst in the person of Barrister Ezonora Cletus. You're welcome to our studios.
Please, thank you for having me.
It's good to have you join us today.
Thank you.
Barrister Ezonora Cletus, I don't know, you've been following the activities coming from the political space in Rivers State, ranging from the emergence of Governor Similaye Fubara as the governor in the state in 2023, and afterwards the crisis that erupted between him and his political father, in quote, Eze-Nwonye Sowore, who now serves as the FCT minister in Abuja, and the rest of the matter down to when the governor there started having issues with also with the members of the State House of Assembly. Tell us, how do you feel about the crisis in Rivers State?
Yes, first and foremost,
are you worried? Are you concerned? Or is it a normal thing for you?
No, politically speaking or legally speaking, that crisis, there's no need for that crisis in the first place.
There's no need
for that crisis in the but because the godson and the godfather had a misunderstanding. So the misunderstanding now degenerated down to the crisis that erupted in that state. Yes, and the crisis started by the House of Assembly being burnt down. Yes, there was a faction. One is led by the Amewule faction. That's the majority, about 28 members. Y6,
that's right.
Y6 or 5 members was led by somebody Jumbo. There were two factions of the State House of Assembly. Then prior to that faction, there was a bomb blast that happened sometime in Rivers State, where the House of Assembly was set on fire by unknown assailants.
Actually burnt down.
Burnt down, yes. So, and from there, the governor now decided to be working with minority members of the House of Assembly. That is by the one led by Jumbo, then, and ignored the faction that led by Amewule. So the thing now continued to, the crisis, continued unabated. And then along the line, the crisis degenerated into the state that even there was even an attempt to impeach the governor. He was served notice of impeachment for, I think, 2 times.
Okay.
Yes, before then there was a kind of what was it called, a peace accord between the godson and the godfather, between the governor, the Fubara, and his godfather, Nyesom Wike, the minister of FCT. There was a kind of a peace talk before Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So a kind of a consensus or a kind of an agreement was reached. It was reduced into writing, and the parties signed.
And people blamed the governor of Fubara for appending his signature to that agreement.
People blamed him because he never sought the consent of the people. So I think that was the reason why the crisis degenerates more, to the extent that last month, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, invoked Section 308 of the 1999 Constitution as amended and proclaimed state of emergency, that suspending the elected governor of the state, that's the Sim Fubara, suspending the House of Assembly.
As well as the deputy governor.
As the deputy governor. Then appointing a sole administrator
Now,
to replace them.
Now, let's take it one at a time.
Yes.
So it's obvious the powers that be, talking about the Mr. President, talking about the minister for FCT, Nyesom Wike, we're not satisfied with the extent of implementation of that initial agreement with Fubara. So according to you now, is that what led to the declaration of state of emergency?
No, what the Mr. President said during his speech, his proclamation, he said that he declared state of emergency because he wants to save the state.
From what?
From crisis.
Is there any crisis?
Yes.
Was there any crisis, Barrister?
No, there was in the eyes of the rivers people, there was no crisis. But in the eyes of the people who believe or who think that they can decide what will happen in a particular state, there was a crisis. Yes.
So whose eyes are we supposed to be looking at this situation?
It is the people.
Is it the people's eyes, or is it the eyes of the powers that be?
Oh no, it is the people that we are supposed to. But the power that be, the people, the people are vulnerable. The people there's little or not they can do. They can't. People, they don't have the machineries to even question the government in the first place. They don't have what it takes to ask Mr. President, can you tell us the rationale behind what the proclamation you made? Because even Section 308, the Mr. President relied on, is a clear and unambiguous provision. So it is in the eyes of the law what the President acted, acted ultra virus.
All right, now, all of this has happened. What was the National Assembly to have done? What should they have done to remedy the situation?
No, the National Assembly, the posterity will judge all of them. I'm saying it without missing any words. Because the National Assembly, yes, the President can make proclamation subject to the confirmation by the two-thirds majority of members of the House of Assembly, National Assembly. And in the National Assembly, we run by camera system, whereby you have the House of Senate and the House of Representatives. So you need to secure the concurrence endorsement of both chambers before that state of emergency can stand. But we also what played out during the House of Representatives emergency meeting on Rivers State political brouhaha. Now, the House of Reps adopted what is called a voice vote. And how can you determine a voice vote in issue that is not only that is a national issue, in issue whereby the constitutional provisions is being usurped, whereby
especially where you needed the number.
Where you needed the number, then how do you determine the voice? Assuming everybody said yes, or assuming everybody said no, how do you determine who's the person that said no and the person who said yes?
So at the end of the day, it's all manipulation.
It's all manipulation, and the same thing happened. Even the Senate had what is called a closed door meeting, and on that their closed door session, that they voted for the emergency to stand. But my stake is that posterity is watching all of us.
What do you really think is the interest of Mr. President in Rivers State?
No, the issue.
Why so much pressure on Fubara?
The issue is this: the whole thing has degenerated into a legal fireworks. Because the PDP governors, they filed a suit before the Supreme Court seeking for the constitutionality or otherwise of the action of Mr. President in suspending the elected governor of Rivers State and his deputy and the State House of Assembly. So the matter is pending before the Supreme Court. Then I think there are some concerned citizens of Rivers State who had also on their own filed a suit before the Federal High Court. One is pending in Rivers State, one is pending in Abuja.
Away from the rule of law, let's talk politics now. The secret meeting between Fubara and our president, Tinubu, all the way in London, behind closed doors. What do you think that's going to fetch for both parties?
As it stands, as it were, the governor, Mr. Fubara, is left with no option than to, you know, seek a political solution, regardless of, you know, suits or cases pending in various courts. Because, you know, in the eyes of the law, he's still the governor of the River State.
That's right.
Yes,
Elected governor.
yes, but in the eyes of the man, the sole administrator is the one in charge. You know, issuing orders, directing on what should be done in River State. You know, but I don't think the law recognizes what that man is doing there.
Let's look at the options that are available. Do you see Mr. Fubara defecting to the APC? Obviously, maybe it begins to look like that's what they want him to do after from time ignition.
So just like, you know, his stance now, that's his position now. From what, you know, from the situation of things now, from the status quo now, he's no longer the governor of the state. Yes, even though the law recognizes him as the governor of the state. So, and any option, any condition he's given to, you know, that will guarantee his coming back, he has no choice. He will abide by it.
What says on our Cletus, we'll keep watching the turn of events in the River State political crisis, and we hope to keep having you come around to share your ideas with us on this matter and even on other national issues and matters as well. Thank you very much for coming to the
Thank you for having me.